Hello, you're welcome back to yet another class, on the journey of the Python tutorial. My name is John from CyberWatch, and this video is powered by CyberWatch Hive. Today we're going to be talking about modules, all right? And I had to jot down here, I said a module is a file containing the code you want to include in your program. Like we did before, we were using import maths. Okay, import maths. All right, maths is a module. All right, so we use import to include a module, whether it's built in, like the maths, that I just spoke about, or it's your own module that you've created. All right, modules are useful because it helps in breaking up a large program, all right, or code into sizable and reusable snippet or separate files. All right, that's a model for you. Makes work so easy, like makes work easier, very easy for us. Okay, makes work very easy for us. All right, so this is let's go on here and use and do an on comment this one. All right, so if we want to actually check for modules, okay, we can go ahead and say, like, the modules that we have, all the modules we have in Python. Okay, you can go and do print help modules. All right, sorry, I had to do this so that our videos will not, our classes will not be too long, okay, because of the time we take to type, right? So I will go through, like, I will drop some codes that we need so we can just talk through them, and it makes it faster, okay, and we'll still achieve the same thing that we've been achieving, right? So we can actually do help. All right, when we do help, we'll now do modules. All right, modules, but we need to print something out, which is what I wrote before I actually deleted. Okay, so let's go ahead and put everything in the parentheses in a bracket and do print. All right, so if we go ahead and print, yeah, you see that we have a whole lot of models. Okay, if we go through, you know we'll come across the ones that we used before. All right, okay, let's go to M. Right, let's go to M. All these are models. Okay, so let's go to M, at least, so that we, where's M, so that we, okay, look at M. Maths, we've done maths before when we did import maths. All right, and we did something about pi, and all that. Import maths, at least we know maths. Okay, import time, we did time when we did sleep. All right, we wanted to print something out and we were using our sleep method. Okay, this is it, time. So if you go through all these things, you see a whole lot of models that you can use in your code. All right, so that's how to actually check for all the models. And if you want to know, like, more about each of those models, all right, let's come here and do this one. Okay, like that. So let's bring this one up. If you want to know about those modules, let's uncomment this one. You do this. Okay, you now do print help. Instead of doing modules, you now do maths. Okay, let's run it and see. You see that these are things that we have, specific things we have about math modules. Okay, and also let's go ahead and check for let's check for time. Okay, time. Let's run it. See, these are things that we have about time. Okay, so things we have about time, and all this. You see, as percentage, y, year, with century as a decimal number, day of the month as all these things are things that are contained in a time model. Excuse me. All right, so that's how to actually check to get information about the modules that we have. Now, to use a module, we'll use import, like I have already highlighted here or highlighted here. Okay, so let's go ahead and comment these lines. All right, so to now use a module, this is what we do, like we've done before, import math. All right. So we'll now go ahead and do print math.py. If we check by using this same thing that we did here, okay, we can actually check that pi is part of math module, okay. So we'll now do print math.py, and we print. You see that we're going to have this value, okay, as pi. All right, we're going to have that value as pi. Are we together now? So that's how we can actually use import to import a module. Then we'll print something out of the module. And normally in real world scenario, you'll not just be printing out all these things, okay. Hope you know that you'll be using them to actually you'll be using them to actually run some code, okay. You will use them to work within your code, okay. So that's what you'll be doing. Not this one that we're just doing print, okay, master.py, no. All right, you'll be using them within your code, okay. All these ones is just for you to know how to actually access them. All right, access what you need to access to using your code in future times. All right, so just know that all these things that we're doing now is actually not how you'll be doing in real world scenarios, okay. So this another thing that we're going to be doing now is I'll be talking about again is, I said another way to import is using an alias. Okay, I say alias, sorry, alias. All right, alias. All right, not alias as we may want to call it, but when we use an alias is this. You now do import math as mathematics. All right, now in that case we're not going to be doing math.py again, pi again. You'll be doing mathematics.py. All right, so that's an alias. You see, we're still having the same thing. Okay, let's even go ahead and change the alias here. Let's say as m. All right, you see that this one is underlined red now, so let's go ahead and change that one to m, like that. So m. So if we print it again, we'll also have the same value. So by using import math as m is importing math actually, then we'll now go ahead and use an alias, like we'll rename this very maths. Okay, that's what we are saying. Import math as m. You can do as anything depending on what you're coding and how you want to how you understand what the variables you're going to be using. Okay, the flow of the code, the flow of the program you're building is actually will actually depend on how you want to name, like your naming conventions, okay, how you want to name your variables and all that, and your methods and all that, okay. So that's how to use to alias to um that's actually how to use alias um to import a module, okay. So now another way to import a module is we do import from maths. Here we did import math as, since we're using alias, but here we'll now do from maths import pi, meaning you know what you're going to be using in the method you're going to be using in the module math. All right, so if you know your method, you can go ahead and do this, okay. And if we go ahead and print this thing also, it's going to give us the same value. All right, it's going to give us the same value. Yes, so that's another way to actually import models, okay. If, like I said, if you already know what you want to access, what you want to use from any module that you're going to be accessing, okay, you should go ahead and do from maths, okay, from time, from whatsoever, okay. Import, maybe if it's your own personal mode, maybe you say from my module, okay, import whatsoever. All right, so that's how to actually use this pattern to import module and what the method you want to use within the module. Now I said let's create our own module. All right, at this point we'll be creating our own modules. All these other modules we've seen, like the math, the time, are built in modules. That's what I meant here. They are built-in modules. Okay, now let's go ahead and create our own, or your own, like I put here, right? Let's say our own module. Okay, so the same thing that was done and we are accessing them, that's what we're going to be doing now. It's very easy, very simple. Okay, so let's go ahead to this line here, and on the in our folder, project folder here I have Python tutorial. Okay, you might name your own folder a different thing. All right, so I'll come here and right click, and I'll go to new. All right, and I'll come down to Python file here. We'll have different stuff here. All right, but let's come down to Python file here. Right, and let's name our model. Okay, let's say, okay, my model, I've mentioned my model already. Let's say my model. All right, so you now see my model.py. Okay, this is model for the tutorial. Okay, like I named the tutorial file. Okay, and this one is our model. Okay, my model.py. Now, so what is actually happening in the model is, just now, this is our model, right? My model.py. What we're going to be having here within my model.py is nothing else but functions, like that we've done before. You see, that's why we need to be taking, I took us from the basics like that, and we are growing up. Okay, so now we are going to be using the function, okay, to create our model, so that when you have a large project to work on, instead, and you have some codes that you want to be reusing, you have some codes that you want to be visiting always, instead of you to copy and paste and scatter your codes with all these little functions or codes, uh, a lot of times it makes your code base to be too large. All right, since you're going to be reusing the certain section of a code, why not create a module? Why not make it a function, or create a module, store your functions in the module, then you now go ahead and start calling them and using them accordingly. All right, so let's come here and start with our first function. So let's say, what are we going to use? What are we going to use? What are we going to use? Okay. Let's say distance. Let's talk about distance now. Okay, so let's do def. Okay, that's a function. Okay, I'm defining a function, so let me say distance. That's the function name. Distance from um from let's say from USA. Distance from USA to to UK. All right, distance from USA to UK. Maybe we're working on projects that's related to, let's say, maps. All right, maps. Or maybe we are working on like all these app transport companies. All right, app transport companies, we are working on them. All right, so let's say we are doing something like that, and we now have what do we call it? We now have a module to now build. All right, sorry, I'm turning this thing up. All right, so uh we now have a module to build. So I'll now say distance from USA to UK, and I'll come here and do distance. Let's not do much. Okay, let's not do much within this thing, but your function can be large, it can be anything, but this is like an example, right, for us to understand what's actually happening in module, or in other built-in modules. Okay, so now this is distance, all right, equal to let's just say, for example, 1,000, or let's say 10,000. Let's say the 10,000 can be in kilometers. All right, it can be in kilometers, it can be in miles, depending on. Let's not go there. That's what I was talking about. Okay, now let's come down here. That's okay. Before we exit that one, we should return something. Okay, let's go ahead and say return distance. All right, that's that about that. Okay, now let's do def again and do distance. All right, from um distance from UK to Canada. All right, distance from UK to Canada. I'll now come and say distance, all right, equal to let's say, for example, 13,000, which is 13,000 miles or kilometers anyhow. Okay, like I say, we are not going that deep yet. Okay, let's do return distance. All right, so let's make do of these two first. So now this is our functions and these are the methods. Okay, sorry, these are modules and these are the methods within our modules. The methods are the functions, okay, within our module. So let's go back here. We can even close this one, okay, which is let's now have the feeling of the built-in modules. All right, so here let's come down here and do, like what we just learned here, all right, from the top. What all these things that we've learned already from the top. Let's come down here and now do try to import now. Okay, so we'll now say import, okay, my model. It's behaving already like the built-in models that we've been using. Okay, let me go ahead, let's see. Okay, import my models. Okay, so I will now do my models dot. Now look at the two methods that we have in my models. All right, distance from USA to UK. We can do that. Distance from USA to UK. All right, so I can now come here and do distance because maybe we are doing coding that. Okay, I can now do distance is this. Okay, now I'll come down here and I'll do print distance. If I go ahead and click run, now you see that we have distance there, the distance that we have in our model. Okay, so let's even change this one also again. All right, let's change this one and do my module dot distance from UK to Canada. Okay, that was 13, right? So let's now print distance. All right, look at it, 13,000. Okay, so you see how modules work now. So we can actually now come and say import. Okay, let's say import my module as module Okay, now come here and say inside of my module I'll do module. Okay, module. It will still work. All right, you see what I'm saying? All right, so let's also do from my module. Okay, import from my module from my module, import let's say distance, you see, from UK to Canada, from USA to UK. All right, we're importing this one now. So we'll now do distance, okay, is equal to, we can now use this one now, distance from USA from, okay, let me even delete everything so that we write them fresh. Okay, we can now do distance from USA to UK. Okay, because we've imported it here. All right, here. Okay, we imported it here. But let's say we want to square. We'll now do asterisk 2. Okay, we'll now do print distance. We go ahead, you see that it's squared. All right, now let's do that last stuff, the alias. Okay, let's say from my model, import distance from USA to UK as D. Okay, then I'll now come here and say D distance is D, okay, squared. Let's go ahead and run it. Oh, sorry. Let's say, sorry. Now do D, Let's go ahead and do D that way, all right, because it's a method. Okay, D asterisk asterisk 2. So we look at it, we are still having the same thing. Okay, let's import the other one, the other distance. Okay, I'll now do distance from UK to Canada as D. Okay, if we go ahead and run it, you see that we have this, okay, as a square. All right, so basically that is module for you. All right, like I said, a module is a file containing the code you want to include in your program. And you saw that we actually created, even we used the built-in modules, and we now used our own created module. All right, so and a module, before you use them, you use the import to actually import them into your code, all right, to include them into your code. And they are useful because it helps in breaking up a large program or code into snippets or little reusable separate files, all right. And this thing, the last thing that we did, if we want to actually add what we have in my module, okay, my module here, we want to add all these things, you notice that this code will not just be 3 lines. All right, we'll have more lines here, so it actually helps in keeping our codes neat also, and readable and easier to debug. All right, let's say we have a large code, and we are in a team, okay, collaborating, and someone else needs to run through my code. It makes it easier for someone that is not you that built the code or the program to, or software, to actually go through the code, because it's short and all that. Okay, so basically that's it about modules. Thank you for being part of the class, and I'll see you in the next class. Bye for now.